Intra-abdominal pressure is the natural pressure or force within the abdominal cavity that pushes against the abdominal wall and the internal organs. This pressure is necessary in order to stabilize the spine. It gives the spine the strength to resist unwanted motion, while also allowing the muscles surrounding the spine to generate and transfer the necessary forces required for purposeful total body movement. The ability to harness and control intra-abdominal pressure is the essence of core strength. It is arguably the most important movement skill we can learn because every multi-joint movement requires spinal stability. Therefore, if we want to move safely, purposefully, and efficiently with the correct amount of strength, power, speed, and endurance, we must make sure that we can generate and maintain the ideal amount of intra-abdominal pressure. The amount of intra-abdominal pressure is regulated by the diaphragm, our main breathing muscle, the pelvic floor, the group of muscles at the bottom of our torso, located between our thighs, in other words, the muscles that we sit on, and the transversus abdominis, our deepest abdominal muscle, which wraps horizontally around the abdomen like a corset. Together, these muscles are referred to as our deep core. While oscillations in intra-abdominal pressure are constantly occurring depending on whether we're inhaling or exhaling, optimal cooperation between the diaphragm, pelvic floor, and transversus abdominis allows us to maintain a relatively constant intra-abdominal pressure throughout our daily lives. For example, when we're walking, standing, sitting, or lying down. However, large increases in intra-abdominal pressure are needed when the demand on spinal stabilization increases. For example, when we pick something heavy up off the ground. In the case of lifting a heavy object, our diaphragm contracts, moves downwards, and flattens fully. This pushes the contents of the abdominal cavity against the abdominal wall and pelvic floor, causing the transversus abdominis and pelvic floor muscles to lengthen. This coordinated activity of the diaphragm, pelvic floor, and transversus abdominis increases intra-abdominal pressure, which stabilizes the spine and gives us the core strength necessary to complete the movement task. When lifting something heavy or performing any other maximal effort movement, it is possible to hold our breath and use the diaphragm solely to maintain maximum intra-abdominal pressure. But when demanding movements last more than a few seconds, as is the case for most things we do, especially the majority of sports, we need to breathe. So, the diaphragm has two jobs. One, it has to contract in order to increase intra-abdominal pressure and support the spine. And two, it has to contract to bring air into the lungs and relax to allow air out of the lungs. Therefore, during taxing activities, the diaphragm not only has to flatten and create maximum pressure, but it also has to move differently in this flattened position to allow for breathing. Coordination between the diaphragm's stabilizing function and breathing function is the most difficult task we can ask the diaphragm to do, especially as movement complexity or intensity increases. If we're unable to maintain the diaphragm's stabilizing function, either because the demand for breathing is too great or the demand for strength, speed, and endurance is too great, then we will resort to compensatory movement strategies, which compromise the synergy between the deep core muscles, overload the spine, create muscle imbalances, and cause poor posture. We don't want that. So let's practice how to increase intra-abdominal pressure and breathe at the same time. In a seated position, sit up tall, and if you're able, move forward so that you're not resting on the back of your chair. Lengthen your spine up towards the ceiling. Imagine a string pulling the top of your head upwards. Tuck your chin, relax your shoulders and arms, and place your hands on your thighs. Begin by taking some deep diaphragm breaths. Feel these deep breaths expand your torso 360 degrees around. As you inhale, feel your lower belly and chest expand forwards. Your lower back and upper back expand backwards, and your rib cage expand sideways. As you exhale, feel your torso return to its resting state. Continue to breathe deeply. Feel your breath reach as far down as your groin. Make sure to not allow your shoulders, chest, and rib cage to elevate. Your breath should expand, not elevate. Once you've settled into a rhythm of deep diaphragm breathing, we'll work on increasing intra-abdominal pressure. Using our hands will help give us some feedback. Wrap your hands around your waist, right above your hip bone, with your thumbs on your lower back. Spread the other 4 fingers so that your index fingers are on your lower ribs and your pinky finger reaches down towards the crease of your hip. Breathe deeply and slowly into your hands, just as we did before. With your index fingers, feel the movement of the rib cage. Expanding as you inhale, shrinking as you exhale. Do both sides of the rib cage expand equally? With your thumbs, monitor the activity of the back muscles. There shouldn't be excessive contraction here. Feel the gentle tension of the back muscles as they stretch during inhalation, and feel them soften during exhalation. Do the back muscles squeeze, tighten, or strain, or are they relaxed? Is there a difference side to side? See if you can feel this. With your middle ring and pinky fingers, lightly press into your torso and feel the resistance of the abdominal wall against your fingers. Feel how this resistance changes depending on whether you're breathing in or out. Is it easy or hard to push your fingers into your belly? Is the resistance against your fingers equal on both sides? Or is one side easier to push into than the other? Keep breathing into your hands, checking in with the sensations under each of your fingers, sharpening your perception and becoming aware of subtler sensations. Make sure that your breathing expands all sections of your trunk and that you remain in your upright, aligned posture with your head in line with your tailbone. Now, on your next inhale, hold your breath for a second or two, long enough to feel the cylindrical expansion of the entire trunk, while also using your hands to gently push in and feel the resistance of the abdominal wall against your push. This expansion and resistance against the hands is increased intra-abdominal pressure. Exhale and repeat at your own pace. Use your hands to make sure you have equal pressure throughout the torso. Feel the resistance at your lower belly, the soft spots of your lower back, and your sides underneath your rib cage. You might find differences in expansion and/or resistance between different areas and from right to left side. This is normal, but it's something we want to work on improving since the goal is equal expansion and pressure throughout the torso. Oftentimes, if we have aches and pains on one side of the body, we'll find that there's a lack of awareness and connection in the core on that same side. So if there's a spot where you're having trouble feeling, focus here with the intention to expand and pressurize. And most importantly, try to label the sensations you feel in this zone. Your focused intention will improve the mind-muscle connection and your ability to perceive this area. Okay, so now the hard part. We need to create intra-abdominal pressure and breathe at the same time without losing the pressure. This might take a few attempts since it can be a bit foreign if you've never done it before, but you'll get it quickly. Here goes. Inhale and create that 360-degree expansion in the torso as if you've inflated a balloon up with air, blown up a bubble, or filled a barrel up with water. Hold this expansion. Feel the pressure inside the torso. Feel the resistance against your hands. But don't hold your breath. Breathe naturally. Did you lose the pressure? Let's do it again. Inhale, expand, breathe. Don't lose the expansion. One more time. Inhale, expand, breathe, don't lose the expansion. Your breathing should be natural, relaxed, and easy. Remember, we're still using the diaphragm to breathe. It just has to move differently in this flattened position. Keep practicing at your own pace. Your goal is to maintain the pressure and expansion while breathing. When you feel like you completely lose it, start over. Picture it like this. Imagine you've inflated a balloon to its full capacity right before it's about to pop. This is the diaphragm stabilization function at its maximum capability. Now imagine continuously letting a tiny bit of air out of the balloon and then blowing the same amount back in. This is the diaphragm's breathing function. Similar to the balloon, our goal with this exercise is to create trunk expansion and increase intra-abdominal pressure. But then allow that pressure to oscillate with our breathing while maintaining the majority of the pressure. Once you've mastered this skill, we can challenge it with movement. Our ability to create and maintain intra-abdominal pressure will serve as the foundation of any exercise we do hereafter.